Hi, welcome to our channel Good New. Do you realize how difficult it is now for the United States to develop a domestic semiconductor industry? The CHIPS Act, totaling $52 billion in semiconductor-related investments, is currently being debated in the United States Congress. While American companies and the government made every effort to invest in semiconductor manufacturing, TSMC founder Morris Chang made negative remarks. He stated that the U.S. semiconductor manufacturing industry lacks talent and that the cost remains high. After 25 years of hard work at TSMC's Oregon manufacturing plant, the cost of chip manufacturing in the U.S. is still 50% higher than in Taiwan. Furthermore, the current U.S. initiative to invest in domestic chip manufacturing will be costly and ineffective. Morris Chang's assessment of the talent and cost of semiconductor manufacturing in the United States is, in my opinion, very accurate. Why is this the case? To develop the semiconductor industry in the United States, I believe two major obstacles must be overcome. So, what are the three major industries that have confounded this technological behemoth? Is America's semiconductor development really doomed? Let us look at this video. First and foremost, I believe the greatest challenge is one of manpower and cost. The semiconductor manufacturing industry requires a wide range of talents, including high-level talents with the best education and middle-level talents who can complete various processes proficiently. Although the United States has the best higher education system in the world, its vocational education system is underdeveloped, making it difficult to recruit middle-level talent in the semiconductor manufacturing industry in the United States at a reasonable cost. Even in terms of high-end talent, the current U.S. talent pool in the semiconductor manufacturing industry is unimpressive, owing primarily to the U.S. education system. The cost of attending colleges and universities in the United States is extremely high. Many colleges require more than $50,000 per year in tuition and living expenses. This figure is comparable to the median family income in the United States. However, the scholarship coverage of American universities is limited. As a result, when annual expenses approach the entire family income, many students will opt for loans to cover their tuition fees. They have not worked and owe hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt after 4 years of college. Such pressures have led to a large number of American college students choosing a variety of industries with better employment to ensure timely loan repayments, or that Americans place a high value on the benefits of higher education rather than just the interest. This means that if a highly competitive salary is not offered in the semiconductor manufacturing industry, there will be insufficient college students to pursue related majors. As the semiconductor manufacturing center gradually shifted to Asia after 2000, the local chip manufacturing industry in the United States was forced to reduce labor expenditures in order to compete with the semiconductor manufacturing industry in Asia with lower labor costs. Because of lower wage returns, the number of students willing to pursue related majors has decreased even further, prompting the chip manufacturing industry to relocate to places with lower labor costs, such as Asia. After more than 10 years of this cycle, the current talent pool in the United States semiconductor manufacturing industry is very small. It is impossible to resurrect the local semiconductor manufacturing industry with a one-time investment. Instead, it takes 5 to 10 years of continuous development. This is why, according to Morris Chang, if the United States wants to revitalize domestic manufacturing, it must pay a high price. Another point to consider is that the cost of semiconductor manufacturing is determined not only by professional skills, but also by the cost of upstream and downstream material skills. Semiconductor manufacturing is one of the most complex systems engineering challenges, requiring plant construction, instrument manufacturing, material transportation and storage, and other services. At the moment, Asian countries such as China and South Korea have very complete upstream and downstream ecosystems, whereas the United States has either incomplete or high-cost upstream and downstream facilities. As a result, the U.S. wishes to cultivate chip manufacturing as if it were hoping to plant a tree in the desert. Aside from talent and cost, the capital market is not conducive to the development of the semiconductor industry, making it difficult for the United States to develop the semiconductor manufacturing industry. The United States is a capitalist country. Finally, enterprise development must be recognized by the capital market before they can truly take off, especially in industries such as chip manufacturing that require significant capital support. In the absence of government control, capital will vote against any behavior that impedes profitability, including the construction of semiconductor manufacturing plants in the country, because the domestic chip manufacturing industry in the United States has no room for profit, according to the assessment of the U.S. capital market, and capital is more willing to enter markets with high growth potential, such as the internet, and even high risk but potentially high return investments. On the other hand, the U.S. government's support for the semiconductor industry, aside from grants, is limited to selective tax breaks for certain companies, and it is nearly impossible to have all-around policy support like China's. In a nutshell, the semiconductor manufacturing industry has significant assets, significant investment, and a long return cycle. If the U.S. government wants to violate market laws and forcefully support the local chip manufacturing industry, it appears unlikely at the moment. Although catching up to the current dominant direction of the Asian semiconductor industry will be difficult, this does not mean that the U.S. semiconductor industry is doomed in the future. In fact, the situation in the semiconductor manufacturing industry in the United States is very similar to that of the automobile manufacturing industry a few years ago. The United States auto manufacturing industry has already declined in this century due to cost and other factors, but with the rise of Tesla, the United States auto manufacturing industry has seen new hope. The semiconductor manufacturing industry is comparable as well. Despite current bottlenecks, the United States has great potential for the next generation of semiconductor manufacturing technology due to its high-end talent pool and long-term investment in cutting-edge technologies. In recent years, government agencies such as DARPA, NSF, and others have made significant investments in carbon nanotubes, next-generation advanced packaging, and other technologies. At the same time, top scientific research institutions such as MIT and Stanford exist. The United States is currently leading the world in nanotube research. As a result, both the talent environment and the capital of the United States welcome such companies. In other words, rather than expecting the U.S. semiconductor manufacturing industry to gradually catch up with the Asian semiconductor manufacturing industry, it is better to expect a Tesla in the semiconductor manufacturing industry to overtake in the next generation semiconductor manufacturing industry. In the field of chip design, the United States remains the global leader. The vast majority of R&D and design work is still done in the United States by the world's most technologically advanced chip design companies. However, chip design in the United States is gradually returning to the traditional path of semiconductor manufacturing. Because of factors such as labor costs and low return on capital, the United States is gradually declining, albeit at a slow rate, and the leading edge of the semiconductor chip design industry in the future is expected to be gradually reduced in comparison to other countries around the world. The future semiconductor design industry is expected to be a state of multiple centers distributed throughout the world in the future. At the same time, similar to the semiconductor manufacturing industry, if the United States wants to maintain its large lead over the rest of the world, it will need to rely on the opportunity of the next generation chip design paradigm, which includes the use of new methods to design traditional circuits, such as AI, open-source EDA, and so on, as well as new design paradigms, such as ultra-large-scale heterogeneous integration, etc. Thanks for having your watching in this video. You can add your ideas or suggestions below. Please keep following our channel and like our videos.